Hey guys, here we are again. We are on page 23, so make sure that your composition book at the front of the table of contents is up to date with page 23. Okay. Today we're doing two-step equations. What we're doing is we're combining Monday's one-step equations, the adding, subtracting, with yesterday's multiplication and division. So you're going to see two operations here. Okay. And the way you do it is the same way we did it on Monday and Tuesday, except now we have two steps to get rid of. Okay, so go ahead and press pause, copy these notes down. I'll leave it like this and then I'll share the last two in a little bit. Okay, go ahead and copy those down. Make sure you do leave yourself plenty of count the lines: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines, at least 6 lines in between. Okay, each step is one line. All right, so press pause, come back and I'll explain. All right, so we're going to have two operations. It's going to be either addition, subtraction first, and then multiplication, division second. And that's pretty much the way I taught you is the way we're going to solve them, okay? Since we're undoing the problem, we do PIMDAs backwards. We do order of operations backwards because we're kind of working our way backwards to find out what number belongs there, okay? So that's why we do the adding, subtracting first, and the multiplication and division last, okay? So we solve it the same way. Isolate the variable. That's going to show you which side of the equal sign you're going to be working on, okay? Then we do the inverse operation of the adding, subtracting. That goes first, adding, subtracting first. Then we're going to go ahead and get rid of the multiplication and division at the end. So like I said at the beginning, because we are undoing everything, we are doing order of operations backwards as well, okay? So let's get into our examples. I'm going to move this up a little bit, okay? I just have one more down here that you can write a little bit later, or you can press pause now. It's up to you. All right, we have 4h. Remember, that means to multiply. So this means 4 times some number out there minus 6 is going to give me 22, okay? So we're going to undo this problem by working backwards, all right? So I'm going to isolate this variable h. And if I'm doing order of operations backwards, subtraction will come before multiplication, okay? Because I'm going backwards, I'm undoing everything, okay? So, excuse me. In this step, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the 6, okay? I like to think of them as, you see how the 4 and the h are together? That's you and your best buddy, okay? It's you and your best friend. This over here is maybe your little brother, your little sister, or somebody, you know, the one that, the tag along, the one that has to be there with y'all, okay? That's how I like to think about it. So we got to get rid of them first, make them go home first. And then it'll just be you and your best friend, okay? So here, I'm going to get rid of that 6. If you remember from Monday, this is a subtraction problem. To get rid of subtraction, we do the opposite of subtraction. It's addition, okay? So I'm going to add 6. Now remember, an equation means everything is the same on both sides. It's equal, it's balanced. So whatever, if I add 6 over here, I have to add 6 over here to keep it balanced, to keep it the same, okay? Now I can go ahead and do the math. 4h, I did nothing with 4h, so that stays the same. 6 minus 6, those cancel. And 22 plus 6 is 28. I'm still balanced, okay? I'm still balanced there. So now we have 4h minus equals 28. So I'm going to put a little note here for us to remind us. This is step 1. Okay? It's going to be add or subtract. That is step 1. Okay? So now this problem looks like yesterday's problem. Okay? So we're going to do what we did yesterday. Now it's time for your best friend to go home. So we're going to isolate the variable there, just like that. And now you remember when you see a number next to a letter, that's multiplication. So I'm going to divide both sides by that 4 because they have to go home. It's getting too late. Okay? And of course, what you do to one side, you must do to the other. So now we're going to go ahead and finish this up. So let's see, we have 4 divided by 4. Well, that gives you the 1. They kind of cancel each other out. That's the whole point of doing this, is undoing. Okay, so they undo each other. And you are left by yourself. There's your letter H. And now do the math. Here is our Step 2 would be to multiply and or divide. Okay, so here I have 28 divided by 4 is a 7. They're both positive, so my answer is going to stay a positive 7, just like that. You check it the same way we did Monday and Tuesday, okay? But again, isolate the variable. That shows you the numbers you have to get rid of on which side of the equal sign. The 22 is fine. He's by himself, okay? Get rid of the number that's by himself first over here, okay? The one that's not attached to the variable. So instead of subtracting 6, we do the opposite, which is adding 6 to both sides, okay? Do the math. These will cancel. Now you're left with 4h equals 28. Isolate the variable again. This shows you now I have to get rid of the 4. The opposite of multiplying by 4 is to divide by 4. And what happens to one side of the equal sign happens to the other. And these two cancel. You're left with variable h equals, and then you do the math. 28 divided by 4 is a positive 7. And you can plug in 7 in place of h. If I do 4 times 7, that's 28. 28 minus 6, 22. Okay, so we found the magic number that belongs there. Okay, let's do some more. These are fun. I like doing 2-step equations. Okay, high school, you'll be doing 3, 4-step. Those are even more fun because you have to combine like terms and stuff. Okay, all right. So here I have 5y, which means 5 times some number out there, plus 14 has to give me 54. So let's figure out the number. First step, isolate the variable. Good. That's going to show you that we need to get rid of the 5 and the 14. Remember, adding, subtracting goes first because we are going backwards. We're working backwards. So I need to get rid of the addition problem first, okay? So the opposite of adding 14, subtracting 14. And you must do it to both sides, okay? Now we do the math. These two cancel. 14 minus 14 is 0. Nothing happened to the 5y, so he comes down. And 54 minus 14, 4 minus 4 is 0. 5 minus 1 is 4. So now I have 5y equals 40. Okay. We're not done yet because we have to figure out that missing number. So I'm going to isolate my variable again. Now it's like yesterday's problem. Okay. This means 5 times something gives me 40. You kind of already know what it is, don't you? But just to make sure, we're going to divide both sides by 5 because that is the opposite of multiplying. These two cancel. You're left with y equals, and a positive 40 divided by a positive 5 gives you 8. All right, I knew you already knew the answer. Awesome. Okay, and you can double check your work. Plug in 8 in place of y. 5 times 8 is 40. 40 plus 14, 54. You got it right. So you can always use the answers to kind of plug it in there and see if it works. But don't forget your positive, negative rules of multiplication, division, and addition, subtraction. Okay, those are the rules that get us sometimes. All right. Move down here. If you need to pause it to write number 5 down, go ahead. Okay, number 3. Negative 5 times something plus 6 will give me 41. Let's find that something. Okay, first step. Good. Let's isolate that variable. Okay. Second step. I have a negative 5 and a 6 to get rid of. Do I get rid of the multiplication first or the addition first? Addition first. Okay, always get rid of the addition or subtraction. So the opposite of adding 6 would be to subtract 6 from both sides. Okay. We'll do the math. 6 minus 6 is 0. Nothing happened to the 5x, so he comes down. 41 minus 6, 3. That's 5, 3, 35. Okay, so now I have negative 5x. So negative 5 times something will give me 35, a positive 35. Okay, so isolate again. And that shows us we have to get rid of the -5, so we do the opposite operation. So the opposite of multiplying by -5 is to divide by -5. You're dividing by that same number, okay? So the sign goes with him. So now we're going to go ahead and do the math. -5 divided by -5, they cancel each other out. You're left with x equals 35 divided by 5 is a 7. Now wait, look at the signs. Yes, good. Positive 35 divided by negative. Your signs are different, so they are negative. Good. Getting the hang of it? Find the pattern? Okay. Let's do a division. This means, and if you say it in your head, it kind of makes sense. A divided by 7 plus 5 equals 9. Some number out there, when I divide it by 7 and add 5, it's going to get me 9. Let's figure that out. Okay? So, first things first, isolate the variable. There we go. And do I get rid of division or addition? Addition, good. Opposite of adding 5, subtracting 5 from both sides. Okay? So these cancel. We're left with A divided by 7. Try to make my A not look like a 9. 9 minus 5 gives you 4. Good. Same thing now. Isolate the variable. Now that 7 has to go. So we must do the inverse. So the opposite of dividing by 7, multiply by 7. So those cancel. And 7 times 4 is 28. Okay, check your work. This is why I left 2 steps. Put 28 in place of A. 28 divided by 7, 4. 4 plus 5, look at that, 9. We got it. It's so cool when that happens. I love it. Okay, all right. Now I have number 5 here because for some reason students get confused. Now it's over here on that side. We solve it the same way, exactly the same way, okay? You remember this side is always equal to that side, so it doesn't matter which side your variable's on, okay? Let me show you. We're solving it the same way. I have -7 is equal to 1 plus 2 times some number out there. Let's figure out that number. Isolate the variable, okay? It's on the right side of the equal sign. Doesn't matter. We're still going to solve it the exact same way. I'm still getting rid of the 2 numbers that are on his side of the equal sign, okay? So, which one do I get rid of first? The multiplication or this beautiful number 1? Okay? How do I get rid of that 1? Think about it. Okay, this part is gone. All right, I'm just looking at that 1. If I add 1, will I get 0? No, because 1 plus 1 gives me 2. I don't want 2, I want 0. So I would have to subtract 1, because what's 1 minus 1? That's the 0 I need. So I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. Okay. These give me 0. I'm left with 2n, okay, and it's a positive 2n, okay. But with subtraction, I'd have to change that to a negative inverse. Excuse me. Now I have -7 minus 1. Lovely negatives, right? Go back to your subtracting positives and negatives. Do you remember what happens when you're subtracting negatives? The subtraction sign changes to what? Addition. And because you change subtraction to addition, that second number changes to a negative. Good. So now we have -7 plus -1. So if you have 7 negatives, you add 1 more negative, we now have 8 negatives. Good. Okay, see how math, everything's coming together. Okay, let's finish it up. -8 equals 2 times some number. Isolate that variable. And let's go ahead and do the opposite. So the opposite of multiplying by a positive 2 is dividing by a positive 2 to both sides. And let's see what we have here. These cancel, so you're left with n. And here, -8 divided by 2. Well, 8 divided by 2 is 4, but let's take a look at your signs. A negative divided by a positive gives you a negative. If you don't like the way this looks, you just switch them. I can also put n is equal to -4. They mean the same thing, okay? Plug in your answer if you want to. 2 times a -4 gives you a -8. 1 plus a -8 gives you the -7. Okay, remember, because you're adding unlike signs, so you have to subtract. Good. Okay. So now we're going to go ahead and do the try it outs. All right. Let me get that for you here. I'll give you 2. Take your time, please. Okay, press pause, take your time, try them out, and then come back and we'll see. Okay. Let's see how you did. All right. Okay, isolate the variable. You should have subtracted 7 from both sides. That would get you 3x equals 21. You see that color? Okay. Isolate the variable again. So 3 times something gives me 21. So divide both sides by 3. And you should get x is equal to 7. Y'all get that? If you once you master two-step equations, high school is going to be a breeze. Okay. All right. Second example. Let's see how you did. Isolate the variable, and this means -2 times something minus 4 gives me a +8. So let's figure that something out. You should have added 4 to both sides. -2m equals 12. Good. Isolate again. And then you should have seen here, well, I'm multiplying by -2, so I'm going to divide by -2 to both sides. And these cancel. Your answer should have been m is equal to 6, but my signs are different, so it should be a -6. Okay? And then check it. -2 times a -6 would get me a +12, and then 12 minus 4 gives me 8. Okay? How'd y'all do? Let me know. Okay? If you have any more questions, I have some bonus videos there for you can check out. Show some more examples there from other teachers. And if you have more questions, come to Google Meets. I'll go ahead and give some more examples there as well. Okay? All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I will see y'all tomorrow. All right, bye.